back to the Mex Mundo kitchen. Today's recipe is for a candy which is found in Mexico in a very typical way. I'm pretty sure a lot of countries have similar candies. This one is called palanqueta. It's a peanut palanqueta. You can find it with different nuts, different seeds. It's probably, I guess in English, the most similar would be kind of a peanut brittle, but it's also quite different. So I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. It's super yummy, super easy to make, and what I like about it is it's not a candy that you can buy in shops. It's usually found in farmers markets or little street vendors sell it. It's a really sweet and nice thing to enjoy. The ingredients you need to prepare your peanut palanquetas are 2 cups of white refined sugar, the equivalent is 400 grams. 2 tablespoons of grated piloncillo, the equivalent is 20 grams. 2 tablespoons of honey, the equivalent is 30 grams. 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, the equivalent is 15 milliliters. And 3 cups of toasted unsalted peanuts, the equivalent is 450 grams. Okay, so before we get started, there's just a few things I want to clear up in order to make the recipe more understandable. One of the ingredients I asked for is called piloncillo. For those of you who don't know it, you can get it in a lot of Latin American shops. It's often in a cylinder form, but you can also find it like in a cheese form. It's a round disc or in little balls. And it's a type of sugar which has been processed different. It's not brown sugar, not to be confused with brown sugar. If in any case you can't find this, I would substitute it with molasses. It's much more similar to that than to brown sugar. So here comes the point I want to clear up. This you can find either in grated form already in bags, or you find it like this, which is the traditional form. If this is what you have, you can just grate it in a cheese grater. You can bang it with a meat tenderizer. You can put it in your food processor so it gets into small, fine pieces. That's what, those are the options to make this into fine powder. If you can't find it, then you can just substitute it. Instead of the 2 tablespoons of piloncillo, just use 2 tablespoons of molasses. There will only be a variation in the recipe. What we're going to do is make a caramel with our sugar and the piloncillo. So if you're not using piloncillo, just make your caramel with your sugar. And when you do the molasses, you are going to add it with the honey. So let me explain the recipe so you get me a bit better. I'm using a 2-liter pan. That's probably a perfect size to make this candy. What we're going to do is we're going to add our sugar and we're going to melt it until it turns into a caramel, a light caramel. Here we would also have our piloncillo. If you don't have it, you don't add it. Once it's melted, you add the honey. And in that case, since you didn't add the piloncillo, you would add your molasses as well. Hope that's clear enough. Once you have the caramel with all these ingredients, you're going to add your peanuts and you're going to turn it off and you're going to mix. The sugar, or the caramel, as soon as it starts cooling down, it thickens. So as soon as you notice the texture is a bit thicker, you can add your vanilla extract. You mix in well, and basically that's it, you're done. The next step would be putting it on a tray that's been lined with wax paper, and you're going to spread it. You want to make, spread it as thinly as possible, as thin as the peanuts, obviously. And I'm using a spatula. You can use a spoon, a knife, whatever you want. I recommend greasing it, but I would use butter. So just spread some butter on your spatula or whatever you're using so that the caramel texture doesn't stick to it. And then what you have to do is this is going to turn solid. So there's 2 ways to go for this. One is just leaving it on your counter and letting it cool down until it turns fully solid. Or if you're in a rush, you can just pop it in the fridge for a while and then you can check to see if it's solid. Once that's done, we're going to cut it into beautiful rectangles. Okay, so our palanquetas, our peanut brittle candies, the Mexican version, are finished. All I did was I lifted the wax paper with the candy onto a chopping board, and on the chopping board I cut them. The traditional shape is usually rectangular, a bit longer than this. But I'm not going to lie, it's really difficult to cut them. It doesn't matter if you use a really good sharp knife. If you don't add the correct pressure, they're just going to break all funny, which isn't really a problem because it's still really yummy. But let's say you want to use this for a business to sell or to gift. What I suggest doing, which works perfectly well, is on Amazon or on baking shops, you can find these really cool silicone molds which are used to make granola bars. So you can just grease it with a bit of butter. You pour in your palanqueta while it's still warm, like you did on the tray, in the mold. And then you just let it cool down there, and then you just pop them out, and they'll have the perfect rectangular shape so that they look really nice. But if you don't care, you just chop it up with a knife. It works perfectly well. And all the leftover pieces, I was telling my husband I want to make an ice cream with these because they are really good. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and you saw it's really easy to make this candy. It's really good. And I'll see you guys in the next video.